fast and quick. And so that's why we're recording it for a reason. So, feel free to ask questions, and it'll be recorded so we can get you guys as much information as humanly possible, while still respecting your time, as your kids are probably crawling across your face and dogs, peeing on your carpet right next to you. Like, we totally get it. So.
Awesome. All right, man. So I'll tell you what, it's almost 5 past. Let's do this. Since I'm recording it, I just pushed this live on YouTube. Justin, let's get going on today's webinar / I'll probably take this recording and make it a podcast as well, because you and I talked about some of the stuff that you're going to go over. This is really cool stuff. For those of you who don't know, first of all, thank you for being here, Next Level Agents. My name is Kevin Kaufman, co-founder of the Facebook group Next Level Agents, as well as Group 4610 in Phoenix. Justin is a good friend of mine, somebody who I've gotten to know well over the last few years. We've done a lot of business together. He has truthfully blown my mind when it comes to what you can do with a virtual assistant and the things that are really possible. And so I asked him, like, hey man, would you be willing to come on into Next Level Agents and just do a webinar for us, share some of your tricks and your tips, et cetera, things that have worked for you, maybe some stuff that you've screwed up on, because in running a virtual assistant company, as you can imagine, he's learned a lot. And the cool thing that I love is Justin doesn't just run a virtual assistant company. He runs a few different companies and has used virtual assistants in all companies to help him get more efficient, make more money, et cetera. So I'll quit stealing this young man's limelight. I want to say what are you, Justin, like 17 or 18 years old now?
20 as of yesterday.
So he only looks like he's 18, but I swear he's a little older than that. He has got some experience in real estate and in business. And more importantly, he's a wealth of information, a really good guy. So Justin Nelson, I'm owner of Sphere Rocket VA. Brother, I'm going to turn it over to you, man.
Perfect. Awesome, guys. Well, like I said, thank you for having me here today, Kevin. We are going to fly through some information. And what's actually going to be interesting, a lot of today's mindset. And so Kevin's actually going to serve as kind of a moderator for me, let me know what questions are rolling in. So he's going to chime in with your guys' questions just to keep track. And more importantly, Kevin's going to be very interactive with me to help answer some questions to kind of keep this interactive and rolling. And so like Kevin said, my name's Justin Nelson, owner of Sphere Rocket VA. A lot of people on here may know me from traveling the country, doing social media courses as well, in the real estate industry. So today's main objective is to help people learn more about virtual assistants. It's not to say you need one. It's not to say you don't need one. It's just to open your eyes to a world that, for me, quite frankly, I didn't know anything about until I got into it. I made a lot of mistakes, learned a lot, and ultimately it has absolutely changed my life. So today we're going to focus on how to find, hire, train, and leverage virtual assistants in less than 30 days. So just a quick little bio on myself. Real estate is in my blood. So I was, when I first got into the industry, I was 16 years old with my father. He had started in real estate in 2012. I dove in as team lead for him when I was 19 years old, ended up helping grow that team to 15 plus people, blah, 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 opened some expansion sites. 2019, basically went on the road and taught people across the nation social media strategies, business building strategies, and a lot of that revolved around virtual assistant help as well, getting those strategies done. I also own Sphere Rocket Virtual Assistants, Sphere Rocket Marketing, and then have my hands in a whole bunch of different things. And when I say I have my hands in them, I actually have my hands in none of them. You guys will learn today how we use virtual assistants, from everything from lead gen to customer fulfillment to, our customer contact plan, referrals, and pretty much every different piece of our business. So Kevin, just a quick question. Is the Next Level Agent community one that's usually open to being challenged with some pretty tough questions throughout the webinar?
That's been my experience so far. Okay. Let's see if we can live up to it today.
Perfect. So my goal is to say some things that make you go, wow, that guy's only 23 years old and he's crazy. He has no clue what my lifestyle, he doesn't know me. Why did he just say that? And then my goal is to challenge you to shift your mindset, because again, I was in that same position going, virtual assistants will never work. I've had one before, it's failed. Just so many different things along that path. So my promise to you is by the end of today's call, I will have you wanting several VAs immediately in your business and an action plan to help you achieve that desire, whether it be now, or in 1 week from now or 5 years from now that you can see yourself having a VA. We truly believe that any business can thrive by having a virtual assistant. And so I actually pulled some quotes from one of Kevin's posts out of Next Level Agents from an observation. And this one really stuck out to me from Jeff. He says, he was answering how many VAs he had. He said, we have 4. If it doesn't require physical presence, it's outsourced. And by the way, Kevin, great webinar / podcast you just did with Jeff. And he said, and right now, everyone is a VA. We are all virtual assistants at this point. And what people sometimes forget is virtual assistants just means that someone is working for you or with you in a different location where you can't physically get to them. We actually find that a lot of people that are against having virtual assistants, their teams and their company are already set up like a virtual assistant company anyways. And so we're going to talk a lot about that. So this market is a really interesting market because it's opened the eyes to a lot of people that, whoa, we can actually get the same amount of things done in a virtual world as we can in a not a virtual world. And so I took a few screenshots as well from other people within the Next Level Agents group. So just to be clear, these aren't necessarily people that got VAs through me, but they're people within the Next Level Agents groups that are already using virtual assistants. And so the reason I share this is if they have had success with it, if I have had success with it, if Kevin's team has had success with it, there's nothing stopping you from having success with it, no matter what you've heard or what you've experienced in the past. And so as we go on, we're going to cover a whole bunch of different things, but the first thing we want to cover is number one, who needs a VA? And, for a lot of us, you may be day one in the business, you may be years in the business, but if you own a business, you need an assistant from day one. And people go, wait, Justin, hold up just a second. My mentor told me I need to be more profitable first, right? I read this book and it says I need more profit, or I read this book and it says I'm not there yet, or I'm not in the structure yet. But Kevin, if you don't mind me asking you a quick question, when a restaurant opens or an attorney opens up a brand new law office, do they usually go, you know what? I don't want a server quite yet. I think I can handle the kitchen and the serving and I'm going to also be the hostess. Oh, and if they want to, if they want to go sit on the patio, I'm also going to go out there and leave my restaurant wide open for anybody to steal from me. Kevin, does that happen in the restaurant business?
I'm guessing not. I mean, I don't own a restaurant, but I'm going to say no.
No, it doesn't happen, right? Or an attorney opens an office. You think an attorney opens an office without an assistant very often, to help them with all those paperwork, No, not at all. And here's why, Kevin, because both those businesses have the opportunity for high income. Right? An attorney is going to charge you a few $100s per hour. And so they know that if they can build a business structure, that the income will come back tenfold. But for some reason, as entrepreneurs, as real estate agents specifically, we go spend $1,000 to get our real estate license in many cases, or maybe a few more, a little less. I think my license cost me like $600 total to get it when I first got it. And then for some reason, we think that we don't need to actually structure like a business. And so we're going to challenge your belief that no matter your financial situation, no matter where you're at, that you might need a VA in your business. And so, while they're wrong and right at the same time, they might be right that you may not need a $40,000 assistant right away. Kevin, right? They might not need that $200,000 cook at the restaurant, right? That restaurant could probably survive with a $100,000 cook while they're just getting started.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like there's the difference of like the leverage and then the level of it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And by no means am I saying that we're only virtual assistants, right? There is a time and place for in place admins that are inside your actual physical business. So we'll kind of talk about that. So one of my favorite quotes is, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So I looked at it as, I can't have an assistant. I can't afford that when I first got in the business. And then when my mentor shifted my mindset and said, yes, you can, and showed me some ways to do that, that's where obviously, as many of you know, virtual assistants can come in. So I just wanted to share with you guys and give you a little bit of structuring of my business so you guys can help understand later when I kind of talk about how we sort things. So I currently have 12 virtual assistants on my team. These are some of my top leaders within my company, and some of them aren't pictured below, but I put some superheroes as well, because that's really what they are to me. If you guys have ever witnessed anything in my company, or you witness something going forward, just know none of it is me. None of it has the awesomeness of any of my companies is not because of me. If there's any bad parts of my company, that's because of me. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. But these people are absolutely instrumental in running. So this team right here runs 2 businesses where I'm almost 90% out of the business, and they're multi-6-figure businesses from start to finish. So anything is possible with a great team. Now, Kevin, let me ask you this. If we were to run a poll in NLA, or next level agents, and ask, what is the average cost of a virtual assistant would people guess? What would you say would be the average guess that they would guess a virtual assistant's cost for a good, effective team member?
I would think the average you hear is $8 to $9 an hour.
Yep. Absolutely. And so that's because, and we're going to talk about where that number comes from, but I wanted to open the books to my companies because I'm a really open book guy. So those people that were just listed on the screen, Shireen is my CEO. She oversees 2 of my companies, day-to-day operations. She makes $650 a month with me for a full-time CEO level position in 3 companies that are all 6+ figures. And she runs them all. And so then, Kevin, some of our assistants and our recruiters are $450, $425. Now, do you know what that breaks out to an hour, Kevin, by chance?
I'm guessing $3 or $4.
Yeah, it's about $2.50, $3, $4 in there. And so what I want to show you guys is my team. Monthly salary for me to pay is $3,100. Now, Kevin, a lot of people on this webinar might be sitting here with a full-time admin assistant that they just got started, or that they've had for a long time and that they're not enjoying and they're just not having success with, and they're paying them $3,000 a month anyways. And for me, I'm able to sector out with more VAs, and we're going to talk more about this. So this will make more sense later in the webinar on why I showed this to you guys. And so as we keep going, people always go, Justin, only $400 a month? That's robbery. Or, is that the actual, minimum wage in a country? And are your employees living a good lifestyle? And again, we're going to talk about that here in a bit. But just to open the books on you guys, is the average daily wage. So minimum wage in the Philippines is $10.61 a day for, minimum wage in the Philippines. And so for us, when we pay $400 a month, $500 a month, $600 a month for a virtual assistant, we are doubling the minimum wage. I don't know about you, Kevin, but most people in the United States would be pretty okay with double the minimum wage, right? And that's kind of where admins start anyways. If minimum wage in your city, Kevin, is $12, isn't it fair to say most people would pay $20 or so for an admin on the beginning level?
Oh, easily, yeah.
And so when we think about it, we have to shift our mindset, not from looking at the $10.61 and going, that's robbery. We have to remember that we don't live in their culture, and the things that they purchase are nowhere near the cost of ours. So we're going to talk about that. So $400 per month is between quadruple and double the minimum wage, depending on where they live in the Philippines. We'll talk about why our team chooses to use the Philippines over other countries, again, later in the webinar. And so culture and why work from home. So it doesn't matter if you're hiring virtual assistants from anywhere in the world. The number one reason why people want to be a virtual assistant is because of traffic. So Kevin, 3 of my team members, before I hired them, they would average 2.5 hours each way from and to work. And they were working at really well-known call centers making $600 to $800 a month, right? And so when they were traveling 2.5 hours that way and 2.5 hours that way, I've even had one team member that's traveled 4 hours each way. I couldn't even imagine. He was literally just getting home in time to sleep, right? And so in this world, if they're making $600 to $800 at a really good paying job, and then we can bring them in and make $600 as well, and they don't ever have to leave their home, they've just now hit the jackpot. Right? They're getting more time with their family. So a lot of you guys already know that. You've been in the virtual assistant world for a lot of you, but just wanted to share that for those that have not been in that world to understand it a little bit more. And so one of the biggest things is, why did I think VAs cost $1,000 to $2,000 per month? Why do I think that they cost $8 to $9 an hour? We're going to cover that later. But before we cover that, we have to even know, do you want a VA? Can a VA help you in your business? Because we have agents on here, like I said, that are solo agents. We got agents on here that already have admin staff. We have agents on here that already have virtual assistants and are wondering, should we scale with more? So we're going to cover, why most people think VAs cost between $1,000 to $2,000 per month. Because Kevin, roughly, if it's $10 an hour, $8, $9 an hour, that's roughly like $1,600, $1,800 a month, roughly, for a full-time salary.
Yeah, it is.
Perfect. So Kevin, what we're going to break down now, and I want you to stay unmuted for me on this section, is what a VA can do for me. So we're going to go through real estate specific, and then I'll kind of get non-real estate specific as well. So Kevin, if you're a solo agent and you have a transaction coordinator that you hire per file to do your transactions, I think that's awesome. Keep them. A lot of times they charge you extra to input the listing into the MLS. Do you know how much they usually charge for that service per listing?
I don't. I got to guess 50 to 100 bucks.
Yeah, it's usually about 50 to 60 bucks. So if you're an agent that's got, 3-4 listings and you're using a service like that, you're spending 200 to 300 bucks, right? And so now we start to see where virtual assistants come in. So I'm going to go through each and every one of these and kind of show you how we do them. Scheduling showings. So many of you guys out there are running crazy. You need someone to help you schedule the showings. A VA can do that. Confirm your meetings, right? If you have a list of 6 meetings for the day, they're going to call and text every single meeting to make sure that that meeting is still on and you don't show up to a meeting not there. Managing your calendar, marketing flyers, cleaning up your CRM, Facebook marketing. I no longer do any of my Instagram posts, LinkedIn posts, Twitter posts, any of that. If you guys run a client VIP Facebook group or you run some type of local community group, I run a whole bunch of those as well. The virtual assistants run it from start to finish for me. Auditing your files, making sure that you're not missing signatures, tracking them down. I know Kevin and then we're getting a little bit into this video editing, right? Doesn't your VA do a lot of your video editing for the podcast now and, new agent announcement, marketing and all those fun things?
Yeah. And I just started that after you and I had that conversation. What was that, month and a half, maybe 2 months ago?
Yeah, absolutely. And what you found is most likely their quality may not be like professional level right now, but it's probably a lot better than what yours was. I mean, or am I off there?
No, you're dead on, buddy.
Perfect. And it's the same thing with me. So it's not a shot at Kevin. So, we do a lot of call recording, right? We got a lot of people that coach in the Next Level Agents group, right? So like for me, Kevin, I take like 10 to 15 coaching calls a week. My VA sits on the coaching calls with me and transcribes all the coaching calls, transcribes all the promises I made to do for that coaching client. And so now I'm not having to sit there and record it in the CRM. They're doing that while I go. And so, open house manual input. And what I'll do, Kevin, is I'll send this list. I have an awesome document that I'll send to everybody on the webinar of lists and tasks that a VA can do in their business form. So we don't have to spend a ton of time on this. Just know that literally anything that you can do in your business that you can write down and it doesn't require physical presence, like Jeff said on one of our first slides, a VA can do. Now I highlighted 3 in red here, Kevin, because these 3 were the biggest pain in my butt when I was an agent. Tracking down showing feedback. If I had 5 listings on the market and in the Colorado market where I was at and we had 50 showings on each, I would have sellers, Kevin, that would go, we didn't get feedback from 50 of the 50. And I'd be like, yeah, because those are buyer's agents that are being, excuse my language, dumbasses, right? Like they just are. And so having a virtual assistant just tracking down my feedback for having a ton of listings was well worth all the money in the world to me, right? And Kevin, that's not a phone call. It can be an email. It can be a text from your VA to those agents, right? Weekly seller updates. We find a lot of people. Kevin, do you think some price reductions might be coming here soon in the market?
They might be happening. Yeah, we could see.
It might be happening. Right. So a lot of us don't go after sellers that we have for price reductions because we don't have stats ready about the market. We don't have stats ready about their home. So our VAs on every single listing can go in and build out a 2-page email that says, hey, here are all the stats about your home, the showings, the showing feedback. And then me as the agent, all I have to do go in there is edit a few things and send it off. And so monitoring Facebook referral groups. Kevin, using a virtual assistant is one of my favorite. And people always go, how does that person always get picked for the referrals in the referral groups? Bingo. I have a virtual assistant monitor every single referral group in the nation. And if a referral is being sent to my area, they are one of the first to comment on it every single time because they sit there and monitor it 8 to 9 hours a day. Does that make sense, Kevin?
Yeah, dude, that's huge. I mean, it's literally, that's such a big deal.
One deal.
Just
One
those
deal.
3. Yeah.
One deal. Well, what if monitoring the Facebook referral groups got you one more deal a year at $10,000 commission check? Any excuse of not having a VA just completely went out the window, right? A lot of people, Kevin, you and I think I talked about this one, is pulling comps. A lot of people don't think that VA can pull comps. Well, here's the cool thing about pulling comps with a VA. Sure, the finalization of the comps is not the virtual assistant's job, but the virtual assistant can sure get the product with what we'll call standard operating procedures and training. They can get it about 80 to 90% there. They can make it look all pretty. And then you as the professional can come in and do an audit on it and change the thing. So there's a lot of things that, pulling comps, Kevin, a lot of people challenge me on that. And once they get their assistant to learn how to pull comps for them, it changes their life because they can literally go out on a showing. Like here was my goal, go out on a showing, show a property, be able to call my assistant and go, hey, can you start pulling comps for this? Can you start pre-filling some contracts for this? Can you start pulling some neighborhood stats because they want to know about the neighborhood? Oh, they asked about the top 5 restaurants and they want to know the crime. Well, I can't tell them that, but I can sure get some websites ready, right? So while I'm driving back to my office or my home office, that all that's getting done now. And so a lot of you guys are like, well, Justin, I've tried to do that before with my virtual assistant and it just didn't work. Well, most likely it didn't work because either you had a mindset problem, you had an organization problem, or you didn't have the right virtual assistant in place. And so, Kevin, is it pretty straightforward, all the things that the virtual assistants could do for an agent if they knew how to do it the right way?
I think so.
Yeah. And none of these are rocket science, right? You know, none of these are, well, and one thing that's really interesting about this, Kevin, I'm not sure if you're able to pick this up. What is one task that every agent should be doing that we don't have listed in what a VA can do for me?
Do you have phone calls listed?
I don't have phone calls. I don't really have a lot of lead gen listed here. And so this is a fundamental thing about our company. And, you know, that's why some people might not work with our company, is because we have a fundamental belief that the first thing that should be outsourced is not the lead generation, right? A lot of virtual assistant companies sell this golden ticket, like, hey, this virtual assistant is going to call for sale by owners and expires for you, and they're going to close you a ton of deals. And Kevin, my question to you is, well, when's the last time you closed a for sale by owner and expired? So how do you expect one of your new employees to do it? Even if they become trained on it, how are you going to convert it even if they get you the appointment? Because you've never done it yourself.
I totally agree. I think that's the first place a lot of agents go to, is the thought process of, let's go get more business. And I get that. We should always be thinking about getting more business. And yet there's so much stuff that we do. And I'm going to just say it. Some of you are on here and you're going to relate to this, and you may even resent this statement, but some of us are control freaks. And so we won't even give over the ordering of an office supply or something, or client appreciation coordination, or monitoring the Facebook referral groups. When I love the example you gave of, like, hey, you coming back from a showing and you're like, hey, get this and this ready on comps. And the reality is, yeah, they can't put together the final package, but if they get you 80% of the way there, they might have saved you 97% of the time, right? That's needed for you to give it a once over, put the final touches on it, and get it in front of the client. So I think it's such an amazing thing when you can look at saving 20 minutes here and 10 minutes there, because when you get to the end of the day, you have an extra 2-3 hours to actually be investing into your business.
You know, absolutely. And Kevin, I don't want to mistake it that you can't use VAs to lead gen, because a lot of my VAs lead gen for me, but it's hard when it's your first thing. It is hard when it's your first hire. I help people find, you know, cold callers and do those things very successfully. However, it's so hard because here's the cool thing, Kevin. If your VA goes out and closes you 6 more deals in a month randomly and magically, and you got lucky, can you even handle that? Right? Can you even handle that amount of business? Can you handle that structure? Or are you just going to crumble underneath that? So, you know, we're going to talk about that, right? Want to know what your job is, Kevin, as an agent? It's to lead generate, to lead generate, to lead generate, go on an appointment, do some more lead generation, and then go relax with your family, right? Stop worrying so much about what your next Facebook post is going to be, right? Or, you know, what this is going to look like, or your next marketing flyer. Kevin, I'm just blunt with people. The way that your marketing flyer for an open house looks is not going to sell you more or less homes. It might do an overall branding piece on you. So I'm not saying have crappy material, but what I'm saying is whether it looks like an 8 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 isn't going to affect whether or not you sell more or less homes, in my opinion, right? We want to live a life by design. And so, Kevin, a lot of people don't effectively use a VA because they just don't sit down and make a list of everything that they can do, because they easily go with what most companies sell them as lead gen, lead gen, lead gen. And they don't take a list and go, what are all the small things I do each day? Like closing gifts. We moved our closing gifts to online, virtual, Amazon, guys. People love getting Amazon packages. So what our team does is whenever you sign up for one of our services, we send you an Amazon package right after you sign up. Whenever you get midway through and you get through a milestone, like appraisal or inspection, we send you another Amazon package. And they're all gifts, the same gifts that we could have given you in person, but guess what? They show up at your doorstep. They have a handwritten note from Amazon that was written by Kevin because he typed it in the note section. But really, it wasn't Kevin, it was the virtual assistant. And so now with Amazon Prime, we can now give gifts. And I take that example of my clients go, Justin, thanks for the 4 gifts you sent me throughout the entire process. Each gift cost $5 with free shipping. And they were well timed, but I never did any of it. So we actually find that you can increase your customer service when you find really unique ways to use leverage, right? Because Kevin, back in the day when I was slinging homes, I would have never thought about, oh, Sally is at inspection and she passed it, I'm going to send a gift, right? But my virtual assistant now knows, hey, inspection resolution comes in, that means gift. I don't even have to ask Justin. I know to send him a gift, right? And so we can take all those different steps in the process and increase our customer service, right? A lot of times we don't even need more lead gen. We just need better customer service, right? That's a big thing. We don't need more lead gen. We just need better customer service.
That's a different webinar, but I'm going to go ahead and say a big resounding yes.
Better customer service. So the test, Kevin, I always get the question, what's the test? Do I need a VA? And Kevin, you do a lot of coaching. I know you guys have been doing some profit stuff a lot, looking at numbers. What's the number one goal an agent always wants to make in their first year in real estate, or maybe?
Man, I've interviewed hundreds, if not 1,000 plus agents, and it's 100K right there. Like it's on the screen. Everyone wants to make six figures, and I won't even go into how they're going to do it part-time, but they want to make six figures, everybody.
And the thing here is, Kevin, is most of them don't calculate what that comes out to per hour. It's $48.07. And so what we find is a lot of agents spend time doing tasks, because we always hear the saying, you know, if that task is less than what you're worth, don't do it. A lot of us don't even know what we're worth, right? We don't even know what our dollar per hour is. We know an attorney costs $200 an hour because they advertise it everywhere, but because we're commission based, we don't know our hourly rate. And so we use this test to go, look at your business now. If you're making 100,000 on the nose, that's $48.07 per hour that you're worth. If there is a task that you could find someone else to do for under that, leverage it, right? And Kevin, I took this to the extreme, and people will make fun of me, right? And I think you did a little bit, and I deserved it. Is when I talked about my groceries. Like I would literally, what I would do is I wrote a procedure that said in my fridge, this is where things go. Whenever I'd go out and teach on the road, I would take a picture of my fridge, and they would know what was missing in my fridge just based on a single picture in a single document that took me 10 minutes to write. And they knew that whenever I'd get back into town, I needed to have groceries delivered at that day and replaced all the items. Now, Kevin, what was I missing things? Was it perfect? No, but guess what? It sure saved me 3 hours at the grocery store, an hour at the grocery store, right? If I missed anything, I could just reorder it and it'd come the next day. And so there's a lot of things in our life that aren't even business related that we can have virtual assistants help us with.
You know, when you share that, Justin, what I think of is like when you're trying to save money, like in your budgeting, right? Every 10 minutes and 20 minute and 1 hour blocks of time that a VA can save you really starts to add up, especially as you get better at utilizing that VA.
Absolutely. No. And like Kevin, a big thing that people are doing right now is they're cutting their bills. Well, I run a reoccurring company in another sector. And what I found is a lot of people cut their bills. And so our company took a hit just like any other reoccurring company. But here's the thing. The more people that a reoccurring company signs up in the next 30 days, the more money they're going to make in their lifetime. Because here's the thing. As Americans, we all just scrutinized our finances. And guess what? We're not going to do it again for another 5 years.
Yep.
Right. And so the things that you're signing up for now, ever since you did a complete lockdown during Corona, you're going to forget about. And so one thing my VA did this past month, she said, Justin, I know you did all your business cutting, but I went through your bank statements and you added 14 new subscriptions. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I didn't even realize that I had done that. And if I wouldn't have checked, I wouldn't have known for a year, right? Because they were all $10 subscriptions, right? And so that's $1,400 over the course of the year.
I got an idea for a new task for you. You should have a VA that gets to approve all of your spending.
You know, what's funny about that is I do have that, because remember you asked me to sponsor Next Level Agents this year, which I did, the 2020 version. And I said, Evan, I have to ask my virtual assistant because she monitors and tells me what I can and can't spend.
I remember. Yeah.
Absolutely. So they serve as a great safeguard for me. So number one, why agents mostly fail is, we talked about it. Most try to outsource lead generation first. They pay some company $2,000 a month. And again, some of my friends own those companies and they're great, right? They're great for a certain person in a certain model. Right. Now, number two is what we call the ROI rash. Now, Kevin has no clue what the ROI rash is or why he's even on the screen here. But the ROI rash is something
I don't have a rash. Can we just be clear about that?
Rash. And so we are clear, at least we know. So Kevin's face looks pretty pissed off right now. just like his email was, right? He looks pretty pissed off in this picture for whatever reason. And so the ROI Raft definition, and this is a definition straight out of my playbook, you wouldn't find it anywhere, is when you are spending more money than you're used to spending on something new, and it stretches what you're used to spending, so you expect ROI fast, right? When you go buy Boomtown or Sync, the CRM, they're great CRMs. We can prove that they're ridiculously awesome. But guess what? You feel like you got to go get ROI on that within the first few months because you're 2,000, 4,000, 6,000, 8,000. And that's why a lot of people quit before it ever starts working, is because it costs so much money, right? And we actually use both those platforms and they're great, but I give them as examples because you guys might know them, right? Or you go start this new thing. It's because you think ROI first instead of thinking leverage. You think, how can that person make me more money? And that's the trap that leads them into doing lead gen task for you, that a lot of times leaves you very unfulfilled and very, just not happy. The ROI Raft, Kevin, store that one away in the Next Level Agent Dictionary.
That's a good one.
So we're going to talk real fast and we're going to get into a big part of this webinar is how to train, hire, and really make sure that they work for you. Is we want to talk about two things about pricing first. So your typical VA company, what they're going to do is they're going to charge you $1,500, $2,000 a month, $8, $9 an hour. And then what they're going to do is they're going to give the VA 600 of it, 700 of it, 800 of it. And what happens with that is, Kevin, the VA company takes an upcharge. Now, is the VA company robbing the consumer when they do that, or are they just being a good business?
Yeah, I mean, it's just their business model. They're running it the way they set it up.
They have to make money, right? Yep. It's a good business model. However, just like anything else, not all business models fit all candidates, right? Some clients come to me, Kevin, and go, we need a virtual assistant, and here's what we need. I send them to these companies, right? Sometimes because they're a better fit. However, for a lot of us, and I know that's the demographic of who this webinar is for, is a mentor once taught me, Justin, what if you can cut out the VA company? What if you can just go direct source a virtual assistant? Now, Kevin, we've all heard about direct sourcing virtual assistants, right? Where would you immediately think of direct sourcing a virtual assistant from immediately if you had never had one before and you were going to try to go find one on your own from the Philippines?
If I was going to go find one on my own without a VA company,
yeah, you need
Craigslist. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people go to Upwork, Upwork, Fiverr. And so a lot of people do this, right? My mentor, he didn't give me a lot of details. He wanted to see me fail, basically, is what I say. Is he said, Justin, go direct source, because that's what all the big dogs do. And I go, cool, that makes sense. I'm not going to go use these big VA companies. I'm going to go direct source. I'm going to go Craigslist it. Well, we all probably know how that ended, right? I didn't find quality employees. I got spammed. But Kevin, does it make sense that in this model, the VA makes $600? In this model, if I pay them directly, they also make $600. Is my virtual assistant really changing their quality of life depending on which way the consumer chooses to go?
No, same to them.
No, it's the same to them, right? And so the only difference is you're paying for knowledge and systems and tools that the VA company has to offer at an expense of quite a few $1,000s. Now, this is just an example. Some companies are less, some companies are more, but you guys all get the thing. So my mentor taught me right here, cut out the VA company. And so when he taught me that, my 12-month cost went to $7,200 per employee if they were $600, an incredibly low amount. And so as we keep going on, one question changed my life, Kevin, and this is the reason why I got into the virtual assistant business. They said, when you perform the process of helping someone buy or sell their largest financial asset, a home, do you charge a one-time fee or recurring fee on that customer for the next 5 years? The answer is one-time fee, right? And so my mentor said, well, your business's biggest asset is its leverage and employees. So why should you pay a reoccurring fee on that forever? And for me, I was like, he's like, what you do when you go through a typical VA company is you're renting employees, because those employees never work for you directly. They actually are employed by the virtual assistant company. And so they have limitations on what they can do for you because they don't work for you directly. If you tell the VA to do something and the VA doesn't want to do it, they could go to their team and go, I don't want to do what this person's asking me, because they're not employed directly by you. And so there's a lot of interesting things with the typical virtual assistant company. And so, Kevin, does that kind of make sense that we, as a real estate agent, we don't charge people reoccurring fees? And the reason why a lot of VA companies do this, and it's a smart business move, it really is. The reason why they don't charge, or why they charge reoccurring fees is because they don't want to have to go find new customers all the time.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
They want to lock you in. And then after year one, Kevin, if you want that virtual assistant, you got them rocking and rolling. You taught them everything. Maybe the virtual assistant company taught them a few things. Year two, you want to keep that VA? Well, guess what's in your contract from year one? A natural 10% increase in pay, right? In year two to keep that VA. Oh, and Kevin, most typical VA companies, they have what they call buyout clauses. If you want to take that VA with you and go somewhere else and not be a part of the company, I've seen them as high as $25,000, $50,000 to buy out that VA. And so you're basically now a slave to someone else. You're a slave to a company, right? We talk a lot about bolt-on technologies and things like that. If that company went under, the agreements that they usually have with their virtual assistants are non-compete agreements. A lot of those. So now you're stuck. You can't even work with your own employee if the company went under. Does that make sense, Kevin?
Yeah, that's interesting. What the other thing that sticks out to me when you say that is, the VA company doesn't want to do what I have to do, which is go find another client.
Yeah, because they know if they get 100 and they have this profit margin, they can coast. They can and there's nothing wrong with that. However, for me, as a company, Kevin, our company puts so much energy into making it successful that we get so many referrals that we don't always have to have a customer on a reoccurring income. And the benefit is now, guess what? The customer doesn't have any reoccurring income, or cost, should I say. They're only paying the VA what goes to the VA. So again, back to my brilliant idea. My mentor said, Justin, go self-source, like many of you guys probably have. Some of you on this webinar have had great success with it. Some of you have probably had great success with it after 5 times of trying it. Some of you have had massive failures because of it, because you've been scammed, or it didn't work out, or they just were not good people. Yeah, I went to Craigslist, Upwork, Fiverr, learned my lesson. And so what I learned was, oops, my face is in the way. Most of those websites, those virtual assistants are trained to be project-based. It is very hard in the Philippines to find a full-time client. Kevin, last month, we pulled in over 2,000 applications in the Philippines to work for our company.
Whoa.
And so and we're offering $400 to $600. So do you think we get that many applications if that was really bad pay?
No, not at all.
No, we would not. And so what we find is when people go to Craigslist, most of these people they're doing anything they can to get a job, right? So they will say, number one, they're project-based. Number two, most will say whatever it takes to get the job. You have no way to verify anything that they say over the internet, right? Number three is I had no clue about their culture. I hadn't immersed myself in understanding how they operate, and all the different things that go along with it. Number four is I had no clue what to look for in interviews. Kevin, I used to be at Keller Williams just like you were, and they had this thing called career visioning, right? And I remember I'd always take it with Ben Kinney. Ben Kinney would always teach career visioning. And Ben Kinney, he's a great guy. I love everything he does. And the career visioning class that he would take, do you remember how long that was? Wasn't it like a 3-day seminar at like 8 hours a day?
I was a bad student. I don't know. You know what I did take. So before career vision, I took Recruit Select probably 12, 13
you
times.
are old. You are old.
I know, man. Like, so is your dad. So just remember that he's on this webinar. Mike and I were in Recruit Select together. So yeah, man, it's actually a 4-day course. It's 2 full days and then another 2 full days.
And that's learning the American culture way of hiring.
Yeah.
That's not even learning a different culture. And so one thing I learned was, why do we expect as an agent to be able to go hire a culture that we've never been in right away? Right? Why do we expect that? And so I really found that I needed an expert. And so really for me, most of my time with Mike and them, like off and on, like we didn't have full-time virtual assistants when we were doing expansion, at the time. And I was purely just working off of Fiverr, right? Mike would tell me, you need a logo. Okay, Fiverr's got it. Our VA's got it, right? Things like that. I wasn't actually using it full time. And that really has now shifted to where my businesses are now, where we have so many of them. And so number 4 is I had no clue to look in interviews, right? I've learned things that if you hear a rooster going off in the background, or if you see certain things in the picture, right? All things that I would have never have guessed over time that we learned. And so I had no clue what I was doing. I failed miserably. So what I did is step one is I told her what I wanted. And what I mean by that is, I think I skipped a slide. I hired a full-time recruiter. I found someone that would go and recruit me top level talent. Sorry about that. Top level talent. I would have her go out there and find. And then all the time after that, she would just bring me interview after interview of people that she had already taken through a super long process. Interview 1, interview 2, interview 3. Kevin, part of why teams interview people 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and Mike, my dad's really good at this, is because if they show up on the 5th interview, guess what? Probably pretty solid people.
Yeah, they want the job, and you're going to get to be able to see who they really are. Like the guards are going to be let down by the 4th time.
Absolutely. So what happens here is, sorry, this webinar is going all over the place. So what I did is I told her what I wanted, right? I told her, I want this person in my business. I need them to be an expert at CRMs. I need them to be an expert at this CRM, or, you know, an expert at this type of spreadsheet or lead generation. And so I told her exactly what I wanted. And so instead of her just pulling all these people that said that they would do the job and then actually train them, I wasn't able to, you know, I was able to find exactly what I wanted. And so, Kevin, most VA companies, what they do is they pull people together and then they train them on how to do it from scratch. They have no previous experience on it. For us, we take it in a form and fashion where we go more hard after exactly what we're looking for, right? So, you know, if I said, hey, I need someone with design experience, we're going to go find someone that's already working in the design field or has done a ton of pre-training on that. And so we're not just taking a pool of candidates, we're taking that pool of candidates from 2,000 to 30 top-notch people that I can sit on final interviews with. Does that make sense?
Total sense.
But now here's the cool thing. When I hired that recruiter, guess what I got to take advantage of? As soon as she turned them over to me, they were now my employee and not another company's.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. That way, yeah.
So here's how it'd go. Told her what I wanted. She'd find them. I would then, all I had to do, Kevin, is when I told her what I wanted, she would come to me and go, Justin, I have 3 to 4 interviews ready for you to go. I'd get on them. And guess what? If I didn't like any of the 4, Kevin, I'd tell her I don't like them. Go back to those 2,000 applications and keep going, right? 0 of my time spent. And so I would interview applicants that had already gone 3 to 4 interviews, performed internet speed testing, English proficiency testing, reference checking. Like, Kevin, one of my favorite things that we do with our VAs before I hire them onto my personal team is they have to call 4 Americans in the United States on my friends list. And then I have to call them, and I call my friends and go, did you receive any foreign calls today? And if they say yes, that's probably not a great applicant for us. That is how narrowed down we screen candidates, to where most of my team members, you would never know that they were overseas because of their accent, because of their English ability, you know, different things like that. I mean, I think, Kevin, I think you maybe have talked to some of mine, or maybe you haven't, but, you know, most of them, you can't tell that they're overseas at all.
Solid.
So success. So write this down. We're going to go into the training aspect. Kevin, would you agree that virtual assistants training is probably the most important part?
Absolutely. Yes.
So we're going into the training now. So here's the key. And you've probably seen this in your business with people you've hired. When you hire the right person, the need for a crazy training program from you personally goes away as they train themselves on 50+% of things. Right? When Kevin, have you ever hired an admin that didn't work out for you in real life, like in your personal, like, Phoenix area?
Oh, only once or twice.
Only once or twice, right? And then when you hired the right one, did you train them any differently than when you hired or when you trained the wrong one?
No, just, you know, they get it and they go.
They figured it out, right? So it's kind of like this for you guys that are familiar with CRMs. Kevin, let's say you used to be on Boomtown. If you hired an admin to work your Boomtown database, the wrong admin would go, Kevin, teach me how to use Boomtown. The right admin would go, hey, Kevin, did you know that Boomtown has a training library with 500 videos and I watched them all this weekend on my own self-time, right? Kevin, I was on a call with Lindsay Emerson this morning, and she's like, Justin, we have a problem with our, I hope she's okay with me sharing this. She's like, we have a problem with our virtual assistants hours. She's like, she's not adhering to them. And I'm like, that is a problem. But after I got on the call, what I realized is the problem is that it's not that they weren't working from 9 to 5 like they were obligated to, is that they were working from 5 a.m. to midnight because they were that hard and working of a person. And Lindsay's like, this is actually a problem in the opposite. They're working so many hours for me and they're so good at what they do that I can't sleep because they're asking me questions at midnight. And I'm like, Lindsay, that is a great problem to have. We will now work on boundaries and limitations on work hours, right?
I was just going to say, we're going to talk to Lindsay about turning off notifications.
Exactly. And so that's a better problem to have. She found the right person and she knows that. And that's the awesome thing is now it's all about finding the right person. Now, sure, Kevin, do you think I can hire a VA and have nothing planned? Absolutely not. I got to have stuff planned. However, do I have to have it all planned? No. And so when I go back to that list, Kevin, of all these things that we do, how to schedule a showing. Do you think you need to teach your VA how to schedule a showing?
Nah.
Think about a brand new agent. How did they learn how to schedule a showing? Oh, the CSS has videos on that. Kevin, how did you learn how to run comps when you first got into the business? Oh, there's probably YouTube videos on that, or your brokerage probably provided you some training on that. Kevin, how did you do X, Y? How did you learn database management? Well, there was probably some trainings on that, right? And so a lot of us think we have to do the trainings. Well, we rip off and duplicate and let them take advantage of YouTube, let them take advantage of that. And I don't say go learn how to work a CRM by any means, but I can hand select trainings and put them through it, because then when I do that and then I have a conversation with them, instead of teaching them our process and teaching them the theory behind it, now I'm just teaching them our process instead of also teaching them the theory. So theory and implementation is two different things. So a lot of people, they get a VA and they have to teach the implementation and the theory at the same time, and they feel stressed because it takes away from their day. Well, what they should do is bring a VA on and help that VA understand theory behind everything, theory behind CRMs, theory behind, touch campaigns, theory behind referrals. And then when you tell your VA, hey, we're going to work on a referral touch program today, the VA has already watched 100 Brian Buffini videos and already knows the theory behind business to business referrals, right? You don't have to teach why you're doing what you're doing. It makes everything much, much easier. And so we separate those two, theory and implementation. We want the VA to know theory first before we put them into the implementation phase. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. I'd never actually thought about it that way.
And so, because as agents, we're overwhelmed. When you get a VA, you want to train them on everything first day. So the way I looked at my business changed. They say you can't buy more time back, Kevin. They said the only thing you can't buy more of is more time. I call bull. You can spend more money on leverage, which gets you more time back, right? It gets you more time back. So you can buy more time, right? Ask Mark Zuckerberg how he buys more time. He just hires more employees, right? When you ask someone how they buy more time, they buy more employees, right? Or should I say allocate money towards more employees. Yeah. And so Kevin, one of the mind shift changes before we get into the hard nitty gritty of the training regiment that we put them through is you got to change your mindset. A lot of people here are going, I can't afford a VA right now. It's Corona, it is whatever. Kevin, the fundamental analysis of a virtual assistant is cost savings, right? We have all these automation softwares that we pay for that a lot of times we forget. We don't even need some of them because they could be done by a person. And the reason why we did and use those automation softwares is because we didn't think that we could afford a person to do it, right? Kevin, I went on the road. So many agents, you'd be shocked how many spend $300 a month to pay some graphic design company to make them one Facebook post every 5 days.
I believe it.
It's like 5 Facebook posts, $200. You could have a full-time employee, half-time employee, right? Pretty crazy. And so when I changed my mindset around this, and if we get some questions coming in here, let me know. Oh, computer's freezing on me here. Second. So if we get some questions, Kevin, let me know what those questions are. I think one may have popped up.
We got a couple. So just tell me when you're ready for questions.
Perfect. We'll get to that in a second. So money spent. The first one was a car payment, Kevin. I had a car payment at the time. One employee. I was like, in my mind, I started thinking of everything in terms of employees. Wow. If I got rid of my car payment, I could have one more employee. Wow. I spent $1,000 on entertainment and beer and drinks this month. Wow. I could have had 2 employees. Hulu, Netflix subscriptions. I could have had another employee. I saved $700 a month for vacation. But what if I forwent my vacation this year and I had one more employee? Oh, that new suit I bought, that's 3 months reserved for one employee. Amazon purchases over a year, another employee. So Kevin, can you kind of see now how I have 12 VAs on my team?
100%, I see it.
Because I figured out, well, my VA is more important than my car payment. It's more important than my entertainment. It's more important than my fast food bill. It's more important than my vacation for a year. Cool. Now I have 12 VAs doing nothing different. I didn't have any more income or any less income. I stayed the same. And so that was a big mindset shift. What would happen? My coach would get on me. I'd go to Kohl's and spend $200 on clothes. He's like, Justin, you just complained last week that you had to do a task you didn't want to. And then you went and bought $200 worth of clothes. I don't want to hear it. Can't complain with me, right? That money should have been spent on more leverage, because the more leverage you have, the more free time you will have. And so, that's really where my life changed, when I analyzed everything that I did. So are you ready, Kevin? 30-day success plan to bring on a VA.
Let's hit it.
Ready? It's really simple. It's simple. People are going to think I'm crazy. The first thing is you have to create standard operating procedures. A lot of people call it SOPs. Standard operating procedures. It's set up, step-by-step instructions compiled. It's just a task list, Kevin. Don't overcomplicate it. It's if you want to create a showing, number one, you log into this website. Number two, you use this password. Number three, you click this button. Number four, watch this video. I'll tell you how to do the rest, right? And so what we have to have those. And a lot of agents, they get overwhelmed because they try to document their entire business in a single day, or 5 days or a week, right? When we really want to break that down into a long time play. So simplify. If anything gets too complicated, you need to pause. So real life examples, Kevin, a Facebook post. Most people, when they get their virtual assistant to go out and start making Facebook posts for them on their business page, here's what happens. They say, hey, I want you to do it this way, my way. Well, here's what I say, Kevin. Hey, can you go and research the top 100 real estate companies in the nation and find posts that they're making, and then make one very similar to that are in other markets? That's all I say. My virtual assistant then knows exactly what to do. They go out there, they rip off and duplicate other great looking posts. They don't steal, they don't copyright, but they take the same general idea. And so when I onboard someone and they make Facebook posts, I say, these 4 real estate teams, that they crush it. I want our page to look like theirs. Figure it out. I'm not going to tell you anything more, right? And that's an SOP for me. It's to follow those 4 teams and make something similar. And then I can make tweaks to it, right? Hey, that post, that's not our team structure, right? And so I can make tweaks rather than I go, well, you're going to want to go here and do this, and you're going to use Canva and use this we want to get things done. And so if it's not moving the needle forward, we're not going to do it. Okay, so Kevin, you're going to hire a VA with me, right? So 14 days prior to the hire of a VA, we tell our people, we want you to shoot 2 15-minute task videos per day. So they're going to take 2 tasks a day that they do, and they're going to turn on a video recorder of their screen, and they're going to walk through the exact process of how they do it. So 30 minutes a day. Kevin, if someone cannot give me 30 minutes a day to prep, to hire an assistant, don't hire a VA. Never use my company. Never use any other company you use out there. You're going to fail. Yep. You can't give me 30 minutes a day, right? If you can't give me that, you're going to fail. So 14 days, because Kevin, if they do 2 a day for 14 days, only 30 minutes a day, it's just like working out. Maybe stop working out for 2 weeks. I don't usually advise that, but maybe just stop working out and replace it with this for a bit, right? Then you'll have more time to work out later. 2 15-minute videos. At the end of 14 days, they have a video training library about their company of 28 videos and 7.5 hours of recorded training on how their company works. For most people, Kevin, that's 28 videos and 7 more hours than they have now. And they did that over 2 weeks, right? And so we really simplify, and that could be how to ship a package to someone after they close. This could be how to send a first steps email after someone goes under contract. This could be, hey, when a new lead comes in, here's how we switch its status. It could be, hey, when I take a coaching call, here's the software we use and how you type in notes, right? It all seems so super simple, but you don't realize that when you hire a VA, that if you just spurt it all at them, and they're going to come back to you and go, Justin, I know you showed me how to schedule a showing 2 weeks ago, but I forgot. Well, instead of that happening now, you go, well, hey, remember, go reference the video and then come to me if you have questions. And so we find that training library, and you guys are the king of this, Kevin. Like, we learned this actually from you and Ross. Your training library for onboarding new agents. Now, if someone asks you a question and it's in the training library, I'm sure you don't go, well, here's the answer for you, sweetheart. No, it's in the library. Go check it again and then come back to me if you still don't understand, right?
Absolutely. That's the whole point of having the library.
It's the whole point of having the library. And agents think that it's going to take them forever because they try to do it on a Saturday. They try to do it on a Sunday, and they get overwhelmed, and it just doesn't work. So
I love that 2 15-minute tasks per day for 14 days heading up to it. That's perfect.
And Kevin, I'm just a blunt guy. If you can't do that, you're not meant to build a big business.
I agree. You're just committed to chaos if you're not going to stop.
And that's okay, Kevin.
That.
That's okay. You can stay a solo agent that sells 4 homes a year and make $40,000. And if that's what you want to do, that's okay. I have nothing against that. I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm just saying that if you're looking for growth with a VA, you got to be willing to at least put in this amount of time.
Yeah.
Right. And so after 14 days, you have a training library. And also I'll talk forever, so I'll kind of speed this up. So guys, just so you know, time-wise, we're probably about another 15, 20 minutes worth of content, because I can just keep talking for days. So examples, how to schedule a showing, make listing flyers, send monthly email newsletters, things like that. The next thing we do is we tell them, we want you to find 30 YouTube videos around tools and topics you want them to know inside and out. So Kevin, you tell me, I want my VA to know how to use Mojo. Well, who better to learn to use Mojo from than Mojo? Why would I make Mojo instructional videos when Mojo's got YouTube videos on how to do everything possible in Mojo? Now, here's the thing. When most people hire their VA and then they don't have any of that ready. How long would it take you to go find 5 Mojo tutorial videos, Kevin, on YouTube?
3 seconds.
Yeah, 3 seconds. Boomtown, Sync, KV Core, KW Command. Like, I get this question all the time, Kevin. Can your VAs come trained on KW Command? Yeah, they can. Well, how do you train them? Well, the same way you're trained. I take all the KW library training. I take all the awesome YouTube training and I give it to the VA and say, come back to me in a week after you've watched all this, right? Why am I going to go create training on a tool that I didn't create? And so a lot of us try to create all this extra training when it's already out there. You just got to go select the ones of how the tools are used for you. So Kevin, if it took you an hour to find 30 YouTube videos, do you think that would help get the VA more knowledgeable on the systems and tools that you use?
Heck yeah.
I mean, and it doesn't take that long, right? That's the biggest pain. We just don't take the time to do that. 7 days prior, and Kevin, I think, or you and I are actually doing this right now with our company. 7 days prior, we create a fallback task. So Kevin, if you're hiring a VA, you got to find a task. Because here's the reality. In your first 30 days that you have a VA, are there going to be times when your VA probably is bored because you didn't give them enough tasks, because you're not used to leveraging them to their full capacity yet?
100%.
They sit there and you're like, I'm paying them and they're not even doing anything. Well, here's the thing. We create fallback tasks that when the VA has nothing else to do with us, they know what to do. So Kevin and I, what we're working on right now is a fallback task where we're scraping our 5,000 friends off of Facebook and we put it into an Excel spreadsheet. And we're finding the address, the cell phone number, the email, the phone number, everything that we can find about that person. Now, Kevin, for someone to manually scrape 5,000 names and find all their phone numbers and emails and all that to make sure it's accurate, don't you think that takes a while?
It takes a minute.
It takes months, right?
Yeah.
So when you assign that to your VA and go, hey, basically, if you're bored because I failed, and this is how we phrase it, if you're bored because I failed, do this task. Because Kevin, if you fail a lot in your first month with your VA, wouldn't you feel like you still move the needle forward in your business?
Heck yeah.
Because that spreadsheet's done?
Yep.
Yeah, because now you look back and go, man, well, I didn't give them a lot of tasks. I know that they were working on that spreadsheet. Or maybe you already have a database of 2,000 people and you just need to update it. And what they're doing each day is texting and emailing those people going, hey, is this the most correct information for you? That's moving the needle forward, right? Now, when you hire that VA at $2,000 a month from a traditional company, you're not seeing the ROI on that real fast, right? But when you direct source them and you're paying $400 a month for that employee, guess what? In your minds, you don't have that ROI rash. You're like, oh, $400, I cut my Hulu subscription and my Netflix subscription and I ate out 10 less times, right? Now you can justify having that person on board. And when you do that, you keep them long enough to have success. So we're going to fly through this, Kevin. I'm going to send this to everybody in a document as well so that they can all have for their records. Week 1, we teach them the fallback task. We do stern expectations. Guys, the biggest thing you can learn about VAs is you have to have them check in each day and you have to have them check out each day. If you don't have them send you a message when they're checking in and when they're checking out, they are going to run over you if they mean to or not. They'll start coming in later, start coming in sooner. At the end of each day, they need to document every single thing that they've done in the day, even if it was nothing. Even if it was because you failed to get them anything, you didn't give them a fallback task, they need to document that so at least you know who's to blame for the either lack of production or production. We get them onboarded to the tools. We need to meet with them 30 minutes every single day when they first come onto our team. If you can't give them 30 minutes a day, again, you're not ready for a virtual assistant yet. We assign them one task per 30 to 45-minute session. So Kevin, it's kind of like kids in school. Each and every time I meet with them, I want to give them one task to go and do to kind of get that repetitive nature that they're moving the needle forward. It doesn't have to be a big one. It doesn't have to be a small one. It could literally be just as simple as, hey, can you go make me a Facebook post about my last closing? And as you do that, can you document the process there? Right? We're moving the needle forward step by step, and we're not expecting them to come in and be the executive admin for our entire staff. Right? Now, while we can pull that off, most of us don't need that to start. So week 2, we then assign those 28 task videos, and we assign the 30 YouTube videos. And basically during week 2, they don't do anything but watch videos and learn theory, right? Now, again, if you're paying a $2,000 company, you're like, I need to get them working faster. Kevin, get them working. I need them producing more. But when you're paying less, you're like, whoa, you feel easy with this, right? And so now they're really kind of getting to smooth in and kind of relax into your company and not feel so pressured. And then any of the time that they're not watching those 28 videos you made, the 30 YouTube videos, we have to do the fallback task, right? So if those videos take them 20 hours of the week, the other 20 hours, they're not doing your fallback task. Kevin, the other reason why we do this is because of one big reason: your mental sanity. If you go from 0 employees to having a full-time one, you're going to go crazy because you're not used to it. It's almost like a kid. They're like, hey, you get help with this? And then you lose your mind. And then that's why you end up cutting your contract or not using a VA anymore, because you're not used to someone being there needing your assistance, right? And that's the thing, is they shouldn't need your assistance that often if you do it the right way. Week number 3, we tell the virtual assistant, I want you to shadow me in my earpiece. I want you to watch me on Zoom all day. I want you to work with me here. And the whole goal of that entire week is to build out an operations manual. What is that virtual assistant going to do? A lot of people think their VA needs to come in day 1 and know what to do. Well, most likely day 1, you don't know what you want them to do. So week 3, we're really building out an operations manual of we've kind of finalized those 20 tasks that the virtual assistants are going to do each and every day. Week 4 is we assign them 3 to 5 projects for month number 2. You know your daily tasks now. We're going to give you 3 to 5 more projects that we want you to accomplish by the end of the month. And if you don't accomplish those, we're going to revisit your employment with our team, right? It's a 30, 60, 90. Now, Kevin, one thing that I learned about self-sourcing is if someone doesn't work out when you're with a big VA company, what do you think the big VA company does? They basically go, we'll get you someone. We'll replace them sometime, right? But they're in no hurry because you're on a reoccurring income.
Yeah, they'll shuffle them around, but yeah, you've already signed a contract.
So you're there no matter what. For us, we actually advise people to be quick to fire their VA, which sounds contradictory because I am the one providing them the VA. But guys, I'm not a genie in a bottle. I don't get it right 100% of the time, right? We get it 94.2% right at the time right now, right? But not 100%. And so if your VA doesn't come into your world and change your life in the first week, fire them, we'll get you another one. Fire them, go find yourself another one. Does that make sense, Kevin?
Totally.
There's no need.
Sense.
With 2,000 applications, do you think we got to be picky? You know, in terms of like, oh my God, we're never going to receive another application to become a VA.
No, you're going to be picky for sure. Pick out the best.
Exactly. And so really from there, Kevin, once you got that structured, now you're just looking at the structure of your business. Every business has 4 structure pieces: lead generation, sales, service provided, post follow-up. And so just to give you guys a quick rundown of my companies, and we're wrapping up here, Kevin. Lead generation, my virtual assistant company. The only thing I do in it nowadays is hold appointments and consultations to learn what you need. Everything else in blue is done by my virtual assistants: follow-up, contracts, payments, all that. My social media course. The only thing I do is shoot 4 videos a month. Now, each one of these are 6-figure companies plus. And then, Kevin, do you know how to turn off a cell phone on an iMac without ringing on a damn webinar?
Yeah, you have to do it from your phone.
I don't know how that works, man. So your questions. So just to go real fast into some questions that were asked before the webinar is, what is your process and communication tools? Guys, screenshot this. Again, I'll send it to you all to the email you guys provided. Screenshotmonitor.com, a free app, right? Slack, a free app. Asana, used by NASA, a free app. NordVPN and PayPal. You can manage your entire VA business with those 5 tools, just those 5. All right, Kevin, questions. Well, let's fire some of the most important questions since we've kind of gone a little bit over time here.
Yeah, well, so let's go through these pretty quickly. Number one is your brother Mike. I'll forget about the haircut part that he mentioned, but serious question: how do you match the agent? How do you match the candidate to the agent slash rainmaker personality? Signed, your brother Mike.
Yep, absolutely. So I'll just go through real quick, Kevin, how our company works, how we do our process. And then at the end, anybody that wants to stick around and ask some more questions can do that. And so how Sphere Rocket Virtual Assistants work, we take all the things of a typical VA company and a self-sourcing company, and we put them together. So we focus all of our time, just like a typical VA company, on high focus on talent acquisition, screening thousands of applicants down to a final list of 30. We then focus on getting them trained on systems, right? Getting them trained on all those systems we just talked about, primarily those 5. Then, Kevin, what we do is, and you know this, I then take each member that gets a VA through us through 1 month of coaching with me to make sure that I'm actually building the systems with them and really making sure that that VA, like if you're like, Justin, I just can't imagine building a process document for my company. We do it for you. We do it with you, right? We walk you through that process. Then the self-sourcing part is you get no monthly contracts, right? Cheaper monthly costs because the money is going directly to the VA. The VA is employed directly by you, easier to fire and hire. So we do no monthly contracts. VA is employed by you. And Kevin, you're like, well, how do you make money? It's just like selling a home, Kevin. We just charge a one-time fee for finding you that virtual assistant. Does that make sense?
Totally makes. When you showed me that model, I went like, that's totally brilliant. I love it.
Because here's the thing, the only way I get and make more money, Kevin, as a business owner, because I'm in business to make money, is by you doing what with me?
Is we have to succeed, man. Like we both have to win. Otherwise it doesn't work.
It's just like selling homes. How do you get from 10 homes to 100? You get more referrals by having such a damn good process and success track record. And so I don't want to be on recurring fees because then I just get comfortable, right? And so to get to Mike's question, step 1, how does the process work? There's a 1-hour consultation call with myself to learn what business needs need filled in your business, right? So it's not my recruiter, it's not someone else, it's me. I'm sitting there as someone in the real estate niche going, what exactly do you need? What's your personality? What's your disc profile? We go through a whole process with that. Number 2 is our recruiter then goes through all these different steps, right? They're going to create a profile of your ideal candidate. They're going to go and take disc profiles, internet speed testing, English proficiency testing. Again, I will send this to everybody after the webinar. So Kevin, we find out who you are as a person, and then we recruit to your exact personality.
I was going to say, if you'll send me this, I'll drop it into the follow-up link for all the people that attended.
Perfect. Nope, I can get that all to you so they can all read it a little bit slower. And then number 3, and we find, Kevin, I think this is the biggest differentiator, is the one-on-one coaching. Is I found that is what makes or breaks a lot of times someone's success with a VA. Is not because I'm magical. It's just because they've never had one before and they need someone to vent with. They need someone to help plan and structure with. And that's it, right? That's it. They just need an accountability partner that's been there before.
Totally
right?
agree.
And so every Friday, I take about 10 to 20 coaching calls because, Kevin, that's the other thing about our company. We only place on average about 20 VA clients a month. We're a very specialized service. We don't work with everybody that we don't want to. We turn people away sometimes because they might not be a good fit for what we offer, and we refer them to a different company if they're a better fit there. And so it's gonna be, I want to be excited about who I'm working with. If I'm not excited to work with you because I can feel your energy suck, I'm going to tell you to go work with Kevin Kaufman's virtual assistant company that doesn't exist, right? And Kevin.
I actually know some people I'll send you to if you're an energy suck.
So pretty straightforward, guys. As being a part of this webinar, NLA is providing you guys an awesome discount, as being a part of the group. We usually charge $4,000 for the placement because, Kevin, remember, if you're with a full-time company, you're going to pay $18,000 a year because of that $900 upcharge, the $500 upcharge. So you're $18K. What I say, you give me $2,500, I'm going to go find you a rock star. And guess what? I'm going to guarantee they're a rock star, Kevin, because if you fire them with me in coaching in the first 20 days, because it just didn't work out for your personality, they might have been a great candidate. We'll hire as many as you need at no extra cost. It's not like another fee and another fee. It's, again, we have to make you succeed for our company to thrive like we have. And so, guys, usually it's $4,000 for being a part of Next Level Agent. The discount is $1,500. So it's basically $2,500. Now, Kevin, I don't know about you, but a lot of people pay $1,000 to $2,000 a month in coaching anyways, don't they? Just for coaching, not even any service provided.
Yep.
Yep. So we wanted to be very competitive to where you're getting my coaching for a month, you're getting a rockstar VA, and you're also getting, a lot of systems and tools that we're going to help you build. So any questions about that, Kevin, or any chat questions outside of that kind of pertain to that within the chat?
No, it looks like most of the questions were like, hey, what is the one-time fee and how do I sign up?
Yeah.
We got a few other questions that we'll go through here in a minute just to make sure we get everyone's questions answered. But yeah, no, those are the main ones.
Absolutely. So, and then like I said, when it comes to cost savings, $1,800 a year compared to $7,200 a year. And then, where you sign up. So to get the 1-hour consultation call, you go to sphererocketva.com. You go to sphererocketva.com and you type in the discount code NLA. Now, here's the thing, Kevin. If someone is on the fence that they don't even know if they should have a VA, still book a time. Just because you book a time doesn't mean you signed up. Right? Booking a time is a 1-hour call with me to analyze if you need a VA or not. I'm not afraid to tell you if you don't want one, because if you don't need one, you're just going to fail and I'm never going to get referrals from you. Right? And so I only want to work with those that need one. Right? And so we're going to have a good, honest call about where is your business today? Where do you want it to go? Because Kevin, a solo agent is going to be different than an agent that already has 2 admin. We didn't even talk about this today, but why do you think an agent with admin may want VAs? Well, they might want to give each of their admin a VA for $500 each a month instead of hiring another $3,000 to $4,000 employee.
That's what we have. We have one of our VAs specifically works for our lead administrator, doing all of the extra tasks that she needs done that are time consuming, so on and so forth. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it doesn't matter what position you're in. The other thing that we see people do is sometimes they already have a VA that they found on their own that might be a little weaker, and they might want to bring in someone else to manage that VA for them and, go through coaching to grow a bigger company. So there's so many different reasons why, even if you have a VA or don't have a VA, that this company still makes sense for you because we have no contracts, right? Nothing at all. Because Kevin, if you get 3 months in, 6 months in, and you're like, Justin, the VA was awesome, they're a rock star, but my sister just became a TC, or they just became an admin and I want to hire them instead. Guess what? Cool. You can lay off your VA if you want to and do that, right? There's flexibility. In the other company, they go, no, you got a contract for 12 more months. Sorry. I know your sister's a rock star admin, but you need to keep the VA, right? And so there's just so much flexibility in a model like this. All right, the floor is yours, Kevin. What are the most heavy hitting questions we got?
All right, so last couple questions, besides a whole lot of thank yous, any legal or tax implications when hiring someone overseas?
Absolutely. There are legal implications, there are tax implications, and Kevin, for my company's sake, my attorney has always told me, talk to your tax consultant. Because here's the cool thing, Kevin, the biggest corporations in the United States, they use VAs, right? The smallest corporations in the United States, they use VAs. I mean, you had 50 plus people comment in the group that they're using VAs in some sort of fashion, right? And so I say that because anything I say on this webinar about tax advice is going to be wrong for each and every person because it's so different to your situation. Talk to your tax consultant. I can get you in contact with some people. I'll tell you this at a high level, all my VAs are written off each year. The dotted I's and how it's done, it's signed off on my CPA. And they legally do it the right way because I hire good people to do it the right way. And so I know that's not a great answer, but each person's situation, whether you're an LLC or you're an S Corp or all these different things, there's just too many factors for me to vary in there. But I'll just tell you this, people always ask me that question because of tax deductions. I'll just tell you, we almost always find a way to get them tax deductible.
Cool, last 3 questions, rapid fire. Are any of them licensed in Arizona?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't know if you caught you can't be licensed in the Philippines for United States real estate. However, we do have VAs that have actually had experience in the Arizona market before. And so remember, guys, when it comes to real estate processes and transactions in the United States, there's 2 different ways, attorney states and non-attorney states. So we kind of split up our things depending on that. So if you're looking for transaction coordination, we look at attorney state VAs and non-attorney state VAs. That way they're used to a state that's very similar. If they've had past experience in the TC world, that you don't have to onboard them nearly as much or question. So great question.
One of the last 2 questions, why do I not hear people going to Mexico for VAs? Our time zone is similar. Like this person, James, is a friend of mine. He happens to be in Arizona as well. They speak Spanish. Just curious about that. What's your take?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually some companies out there that I know, and we're actually, so just so you know, we're actually working on Colombia right now. Colombia is another division that we're working on. So Colombia is another one. We find that our virtual assistants, for whatever reason, usually love to work the night shift. So all of our VAs work on our time zone. They all work on the same time zone as me. Now, if you want one that doesn't work on your same time zone, that's totally okay. Like, you don't have to, but absolutely, Colombia is another great location. Another reason why we don't is usually the the accent in South America, like Venezuela and some of those places, is very, very thick, which isn't a problem, right? However, we found that a lot of people in the Philippines have also been taught English as their first language rather than their second language. Someone in Mexico, usually it's Spanish is their first language, English is their second, which there's not a problem with that. You just obviously understand when English is your first language, comes a little bit more naturally, vocabulary wise, things like that. So
Awesome. All right. Last question. Another question just popped up. What happens after you pour all your time training this VA and they end up quitting a year later? Can I answer that for you? At least give my answer. My answer is, if you do it the way Justin recommended, and to be fair to Randy, who asked the question, he asked it before you got to this slide. If you're actually recording all of the stuff like you suggested, that's your answer, is like, hey, if they leave in a year, you're going to be okay. You're already going to have a training library. But how would you answer that, Justin?
Absolutely. One thing that we tell our VAs to do, and this sounds kind of cynical, but I tell all of my employees, I need you to train and I need you to build documentation as if one of your family members is going to die, one if something's going to happen, and that you need to go away on leave for a little bit. And when I tell them something like that, their mindset changes and goes, because here's my thing. I tell them that because if they do need to go on leave for 6 months, I don't want to fire them. I don't want to let them go, but I want them to know that their job is secure, that if they built the documentation right, that they can come back to the job, right? Because it wasn't hard to replace them. And when I do that, and they have that mindset, and then for whatever reason they do end up leaving, guess what? They've built me documentation with that mindset in mind. Their documentation's flawless. Like tomorrow, Shireen could probably walk away, my head recruiter, and she's built such good documentation, I could put someone else in there and probably not skip a whole lot of beats, right?
Awesome.
Now, I would skip beats and her learning some things or him learning some things, but it's all about the documentation.
All right, man. I literally have to be somewhere in under 10 minutes. So at least virtually. Last two questions. What about legal? Can they sign any sort of binding confidentiality agreements?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is where it gets a little tricky. And Kevin, in full disclosure, we're actually moving our company into an interesting world where you have to have a company based in the Philippines to have. So basically, law doesn't cross countries, if that makes sense. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. And so when it doesn't cross countries, one of the things that happens is you have to have them sign agreements that are prepared by lawyers in the Philippines, right? And so if you got a VA and you're doing something highly classified NDA related, we can help you work through those things. It might require a few extra dollars to get a lawyer in the Philippines. When I say a few extra dollars, they're nowhere near the United States. But if you needed something crafted that holds them accountable in the Philippines, because having a US attorney draft something and send it to someone in the Philippines, they can sign that, and guess what? There's no one to go after them for it because the laws it's kind of maritime type stuff. So yeah, absolutely. If you need something highly secretive, like that, we can definitely work through that with you.
Awesome. Last question was around, it really was more of a comment / questions. Bilingual English Spanish would be amazing if you happen to have any VAs like that in your staff. I'm sure that's something you can address with people when they do the consultation with you, right?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you guys this, all of my VAs have more college education than I do. I have several with MBAs. My head recruiter also speaks Spanish. So, $600, my CEO speaks Spanish. MBA, you can't get much better than that. I mean, so absolutely. Spanish is easy to find in the Philippines as well, if that is something to desire.
Awesome.
So awesome, Kevin. Well, I appreciate you guys. Kevin, I'm going to get this all over to you. So that way I'm going to get him the slide deck. I'm going to get him a document with a whole bunch of the things we covered today. Because Kevin, I appreciate you.
Yeah, right back at you, man. I appreciate it. We're going to get going. Guys, again, sphererocketva.com. If you want the $1,500 discount, use the code NLA. If you want to pay full price, don't use the code. But if you want the $1,500 discount, use the code NLA for Next Level Agents. Justin Nelson, my man, thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this, giving us all your time.
Absolutely.
And for those of you wanting the recording, that will be out in 24 hours or less, guys. Talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Bye.